Hey there, this is Lisa Wilbur coming from Weare, New Hampshire, and be prepared to hear barking in the background and the computer's making noise and everything. But I want to get this on video because I have something to share and I want to make sure I don't lose any of the the things that happened because it was an awesome experience. Okay. So let me tell you about the play. Okay, so what happened is, I know that for my business to grow and do well, I need to meet new people. So I try to find ways to meet new people, not necessarily sell them anything or sign them up or anything like that. I just try to meet new people because that always works to help my business in the long run. Either, the new people find out what I do and tell other people, or however it works. Sometimes the people I meet end up wanting something or signing up, whatever it is. But it always boils down to I can be successful at anything if enough people know what I do. So for people to know what I do, I need to meet new people. Now, last year, in order to meet new people, I joined the Go Giver Success Alliance, and that worked fabulous for me. I've met probably 100 people. I met lots of new people. Matter of fact, I'm writing 2 books with 2 different people. One of them's one of the anthology books where each one person writes a chapter, and the other's a parable where it's the 2 of us writing and doing the book together. So, I mean, I've met a lot of people, and that's been an awesome thing. So at the beginning of this year, I thought to myself, how can I meet more new people? I just need to have some opportunities to meet some new people. What could I do? So I thought, well, you know what's coming up is, and I actually joined this committee, I believe it was last year. Um, the coming up is the 250th anniversary of the Pine Tree Riot. And that actually, the Pine Tree Riot, if you don't know, is one of the battles, well, it was actually like a skirmish or whatever in the Revolutionary War prior to the Tea Party in Boston. And it happened on my land here that I own in Ware, New Hampshire. And there's a big stone monument outside on the wheel monument outside, so I knew about it, and it's always bugged me that they have reenactments and they have anniversaries of this happening, and no one's ever involved me in it. They've never asked to use the land or anything, and that always bugged me because I thought, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have it here? Because I would love that. So anyway, I joined the committee last year, and this all worked out so well, and it was all by accident. So I joined the committee. It was a committee on the Historical Society here in town, which I am a member, and I'm not because of my big love of history, but because of the fact that I own the land that happened on, and that is a big thing in our history in this town. So I joined the committee, and they were just talking. We were sitting around a table. They were just saying they were looking for something like something as a main thing to do at an event for the 250th anniversary. And it dawned on me that something from when I grew up in Massachusetts, I grew up near a town named Swansea, and that's south of Keene, New Hampshire. And every year for 70 years, I think it was, may even have been more than that. They did a play outside, and the outside venue was called the Potash Bowl. I remember that. And the kids that I went to school with all talked about who they were going to be in the play this year, and everybody talked about it all the time. It was an annual thing, and the play was actually inspired by a book written by one of their residents. So I'm sitting at this meeting, and I thought of that for some reason, and I'm sitting next to Connie Evans, who wrote a book about the Pine Tree Riot. And I just offhandedly go, well, why don't we do a play about Connie's book? And Connie's like, oh, Connie's like, I don't know how to write a script. And I'm like, you need a script for that? I had no idea. I had no idea what's involved. I guess I thought you could just open the book and do it. I don't know. But it was I just went, "Hey, why don't we do that?" So then Connie's like, "Hey, and I don't know how to write a script or anything." So I thought, well, you know what? My kid's all into the theater thing, and one of the teachers down the school is the theater teacher. Maybe she could help you write a script. And I didn't realize the teacher down the school hadn't done that before. But I thought, hey, why don't I get you introduced and see if that can work out? So that's actually what happened. I introduced Connie to Jen Matsky, who runs the theater program down at the high school that my kid's in. And they actually got together and wrote a script. And I was sitting at the table read for the first, when they got the script done and they were just going over it. We didn't have auditions set up or anything. We were just at the table read stage and they were making all these adjustments. And I was actually thinking, I don't think I'm going to stay on this committee thing because I'm not an actor, I'm not a director, I'm not any of those things, so I don't have any value to bring to this. So I'm not even gonna stay on this. I'm glad they're doing it and yay, right? But I sat there at the table reading, I didn't say that much, and what ended up happening is Jen Matsky invited a man, it was George, invited a man to do the table read with him, and he was thinking about being the director. I thought maybe Jen Matsky would do the director thing. I wasn't sure, but she was busy already, committed to a musical down at the school that actually my kid was in. So I totally understand that. So George says to me, well, actually, he was thinking about doing it, but he wasn't making a commitment. So, being a salesman like I am, I said to George, "What does it need to look like for you to say yes to this?" And he said to me, "If you can get, I think it's 25 people or 24 people or however many cast members are on the sheet there, to audition for this, I'll do it." So I then it was like a challenge. I'm like, "Okay, I can do that. I can get that many people to audition." Um, and I already knew they weren't letting us use the public buildings in town, so I was gonna do the audition here at my place. And by some stroke of luck, by the way, I had an office that used to be like a store, and I had for 6 months prior to this, I had been working on cleaning it out, so it was half empty, and, that w unbelievably, we were able to use that for the auditions and rehearsals because the public buildings weren't open. But anyway, so I start rounding up people to come to the auditions. We set the date for the auditions. Connie and her husband, who has lots of theater experience, Gary, um, said they were going to try to make the auditions, but they were out of the country, so they weren't totally sure. Well, then George contacted me and said he wasn't going to make the commitment, that he wasn't going to do director, which is fine. But then I was kind of panicked because I already was setting up the auditions and I had no director and nobody else to do the audition. So I had about 20 something people come in that first night to audition, and I had no idea what I was doing. I've never done anything like this before. I I really don't even have a big giant interest in theater, to tell you the truth. I've been to a few things because the kid's into it, but it wasn't some big thing that I was interested in. Anyway, as luck would have it, my phone rings like Thursday. It's a New York City number. I didn't answer it because I screen my calls because I get a lot of spam, as we all do. Um, but then it rang again on Friday. This time I thought perhaps it was Avon because it was a New York City number and that they called back. Usually spams don't call back. Anyway, I answered the phone and it's a gentleman and he said it was Kenny K Hall. He said he graduated from John Stark High School, which is right here in town, and he moved back here a year or so ago. I think I got that right. And he said he's been in New York doing production on TV shows. And his like big dream was to come back and direct a play down at the high school. I'll tell you, I almost peed my pants. I was, like, trying not to show my excitement. But I didn't wanna hear a no. I didn't want a no from him. So I thought, "You know what? I'm not gonna say how badly I need him to pull to do this. I'm just gonna start treating him like the director, I swear." So what I did, I said, "Well, why don't you come do this one?" He's like, "Oh, no, no." And I said, "Well, come meet Connie. Connie's gonna be at the auditions on Sunday night. Come meet her." And truthfully, I didn't know if Connie was gonna be there because she wouldn't know she was gonna be there because she was traveling from out of the country. So anyway, um, Kenny came to the auditions and Connie and Gary made it Sunday night, and we did have about 20 people. What I did was I set up and I got this from watching TV. I set up a director's table and then had everybody in the hallway, and I was letting them in, and they were reading in front of the table. And at the director's table, I had name plates for Connie, Kenny, and Gary. So I included Kenny. I just put him there. And from that moment on, I just treated him like he was the director. I never did ask him. I never did say, "Would you direct this?" I never did. It's kind of funny now, but at the time, I was kind of taking a little risk that he wouldn't just walk off and not do it. But anyway, um, luckily for me, he stepped right in and took charge as the director. So when we got done with the auditions, I kind of went up to him and I'm like, "Well, we need to set some dates. What's the next steps here?" And he luckily just stepped right in. So luckily he was a good sport about it. Connie later, it was weeks later, said she was wondering how come Kenny was acting like he wasn't already the director on Sunday because I told her he was. And then I told her what happened, and she thought it was funny too. But anyway, so he stepped in, which was a gift from the universal god somehow. The theater god stepped in, and from that moment, things really, he knew what he was doing. We did have lots of people in town audition, which was fabulous. Most of the people haven't even done something like this before. There were a few. We got people that stepped up to do production, the costumes, the sets, and everything. And everybody did a fabulous job. And you know what? The play turned out great. And so now back to the original theory of why I even volunteered for the committee to start with. I didn't plan on being on the theater committee. It just all evolved into that. Um, but I met tons of new people. Tons of new people just between the 24, I think it is, cast members, the six production people, the people that you meet. I would say in addition to that would be like the person taping it from Channel 6, the different, pieces of the puzzle. I met all of those people, and it was a fabulous experience. Now my challenge was, how did I add value to that situation? Because for this to work, for me to be involved, I needed to be able to add value. So that was a challenge, and I'm glad that I stuck it out and did it because I think I was able to add something. I was able to offer my house, my space for them to uh, not only audition but rehearse here. I went and got the binders printed. I ended up being like a more of a gopher, an assistant, something like that. I went and got the binders printed with the script. Um, I figured one way that I could add value was to make it a personal experience for everybody involved so that they'd want to stick it out because I knew this was a big time commitment for everybody. So I had their names printed with their character names on the binders. I tried to make sure I was at the door and welcomed people every night. I was in charge of the waters and the snacks, and I made sure there were snacks and waters and they were set up nice out in the office. I made sure all the garbage cans were emptied and the vacuuming done so it was nice. I just tried to make it nice and pleasant for everybody. Made sure the outside lights were on. Um, just made sure it was nice here. And I had music playing in the hallway sometimes. When it got closer to Easter, I had a little Easter display. So, I mean, I just tried to add value to people's day so that it would feel good coming here and that they'd feel good about what they did spending their time. At the end of the play, um, I made sure I collected everybody's information and I took pictures of everybody in their costumes and sent them to them on the front of a card and made sure that I said what a great job they did in the play. So I think that's how I was able to add some value to the situation. It's kind of an odd thing because I don't sing, don't direct, don't act, and I don't do any of those things. Um, all I could do was what I could do. So I went and fetched pizza and I, I went and made sure we had water and snacks. I did the things I could do to add value. So I wanted to make sure to put that down because to put this on a video, because for one, my aim at the beginning was just to meet more people. And I tried to stay open minded about it and tried to just figure out how I could be of service to the people, these new people that I met. And this is what happened from it. So it was an awesome experience. And I would recommend if you see, like a local committee in town or anything like that, um, instead of me dismissing it out of hand that I don't have an interest in this, I tried to spin it and say, well, how can I be of service anyway? What can I do to make sure that this event happens and I can be of service? So, anyway, I hope you got some good information from that, but I wanted to make sure to tell that story because that some random sitting at a meeting offhandedly saying, why don't we do a play on Connie's Mind? Turned into a really awesome experience for a lot of people. And I was able to meet a whole bunch of new people. So, and that's how any business grows. So I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you so much for listening. And luckily, the dog didn't bark the whole time. We'll see you in the next story. Thank you.